title of the story is Ruby the Copycat by Peggy Rathman. Who do you think Peggy Rathman is, boys and girls? Raising your hand, yes? Yes? No, good try though. Ruby the Copycat by Peggy Rathman, yes?
He's the one that made the book.
Good. He's the author. He's the one that made the book that wrote the story. Ruby the Copycat, what do you think this story is going to be about? From the title and from looking at the picture on the front of this page. Michaela, have a seat. Yes? Maybe Ruby's going to copy? Let's see. Let's see. Ruby the Copycat. Monday was Ruby's first day in Miss Hart's class. Class, this is Ruby, announced Miss Hart. Ruby, you may use the empty desk behind Angela. Angela is the girl with the pretty red bow in her hair. Angela smiled at Ruby. Ruby smiled at Angela's bow and tiptoed to her seat. She could be shy. Good. I hope everyone had a pleasant weekend, said Miss Hart. Does anyone have something to share? I was a flower girl at my sister's wedding, said Angela. That's exciting, said Miss Hart. Ruby raised her hand halfway. I was a flower girl at my sister's wedding, too. What a coincidence, said Miss Hart. Angela turned and smiled at Ruby. Ruby smiled at the top of Angela's head. Class, please take out your reading book, said Miss Hart. Do you believe that Ruby also was a flower girl at her sister's wedding as well? Who believes Ruby? Thumbs up if you believe Ruby, thumbs down if you don't believe her. Okay, half and half. Let's keep reading. At lunchtime, Ruby hopped all the way home on one foot. When Ruby came back to school, she was wearing a red bow in her hair. She slid into her seat behind Angela. I like your bow, whispered Angela. I like yours too, whispered Ruby. Class, please take out your math book, said Miss Hart. Why do you think Ruby put the red bow in her hair?
She was a copycat.
She was a copycat. Good. What do you say?
Because she was copying her.
Okay, and how about you?
She wanted to wear that like her.
She wanted to wear it like her. Who's her? What's the other character's name? Ruby is the one that copied Angela. On Tuesday morning, Angela wore a sweater with daisies on it. At lunchtime, Ruby hopped home sideways. When Ruby came back to school after lunch, she was wearing a sweater with daisies on it. I like your sweater, whispered Angela. I like yours too, whispered Ruby. Why is Ruby continually to copy? Why is she copying? Yes?
Because she wants to wear what she's wearing.
She wants to wear the same thing that Angela's wearing. Is that good to be a copycat?
No.
Did anybody in here ever have somebody to copy them?
No.
To do something that you were doing? What was it? Sometimes you copy your sister. Okay. On Wednesday, Angela wore a hand-painted t-shirt with matching sneakers. After lunch, Ruby hopped back to school wearing a hand-painted t-shirt with matching sneakers. Why are you sitting like that, whispered Angela. Wet paint, said Ruby. On Thursday morning, during sharing time, Angela modeled the flower girl dress she wore at her sister's wedding. Ruby modeled her flower girl dress too, right after lunch. So what do you think Ruby went? Where did she go to get her dress from, yes?
I think she bought it from the shop.
You think Ruby left school and went to a shop by herself? Where does she usually go during lunchtime? Where do you think she went?
Home.
Home. Very good. Angela didn't whisper anything. How do you think Angela's feeling right now? How is Angela feeling? Okay, why is Angela mad? Okay, she's mad because she's copying her. What do you say? Okay, she's mad because she's copying her. By coincidence, on Friday morning, both girls wore red and lavender striped dresses. At lunchtime, Angela raced home. When Angela came back to school, she was wearing a black dress. Why do you think Angela raced home? Why do you think she raced home? Yes. Ruby keeps copying her. Does Angela usually go home, Daniel, at lunch? No. Who usually goes home at lunch? Yes? Who usually goes home at lunch? Good try, yes?
Ruby.
Ruby usually goes home at lunch, but this time Angela said, enough, I'm going home. On Friday afternoon, Ms. Hart asked everyone to write a short poem. Who would like to read first, asked Ms. Hart. Yes? Angela raised her hand. She stood by her desk and read. I had a cat I could not see because it stayed in back of me. It was a very loyal pet. It said we never really met. That was very good, said Miss Hart. Now, who's next? Miss Hart looked around the room. Ruby. What do you think Ruby's going to do? What do you think Ruby's going to do? Yes?
Copy her.
Copy her. Let's see. Let's see what Ruby does. Ruby stood and recited slowly, I had a nice pet, who I never met. Because it always stayed behind me, I'm sure it was a cat, too. Ruby replied at the back of Angela's head. Ruby smiled at the back of Angela's head. Someone whispered, Ruby sat down. What a coincidence, murmured Miss Hart. How do you think Miss Hart is feeling right now? Look at the teacher, Miss Hart. How do you think she's feeling, yes?
Sad.
Sad, and what else? How do you think Miss Hart is feeling? Look at her face.
Disappointed.
Disappointed, good word, yes?
And exhausted.
Exhausted. So what do you think that she's tired of? These are very good answers, yes?
Mad.
She's mad, yes?
Tired of Ruby copying.
Good. She's tired of Ruby copying. What do you think Miss Hart is thinking? What do you think she's thinking? What do you think she's thinking?
She's thinking to get her stop copying Angela.
She's probably trying to figure out a strategy to try to get her to stop copying Angela. Angela scribbled something on a piece of paper. She passed to Ruby. The note said, you copied me. I'm telling Miss Hart. P.S. I hate your hair that way. Ruby buried her chin on the collar of her blouse. A big tear rolled down her nose and plopped onto the note. When the bell rang, Miss Hart sent everyone home except Ruby. What do you think is going to happen next? Everyone went home except for Ruby. What do you think is going to happen next? What's going to happen next?
She's gonna get mad.
Maybe she's going to get mad, yes. Maybe.
Maybe she's gonna get more homework.
Oh, maybe she'll give more homework, yes.
Maybe she's gonna stay in school.
Maybe she'll stay in school. Okay, pick it up for me, please. Thank you. Miss Hart closed the door of the schoolroom and sat on the edge of Ruby's desk. Ruby, dear, she said gently, you don't need to copy everything Angela does. You can be anything you want to be, but be Ruby first. I like Ruby. So what is the teacher telling her? What is the teacher telling her? Yes?
To be herself.
To be herself. Yes?
To be Ruby.
To be Ruby. Is it bad to be yourself?
Yeah.
No. If you love yourself, you should always want to be who? You, yourself. Miss Hart smiled at Ruby. Ruby smiled at Miss Hart's beautiful polished fingernails. Have a nice weekend, Miss Hart. Have a nice weekend, said Ruby. What do you think Ruby's going to do now that she's smiling at Miss Hart's fingernails, yes?
She's gonna go home
And do what?
and go tell her mom how she was gonna copy Angela.
Okay, Angela, but what do you think she's going to do about those nails that she's eyeing? Yes.
She's gonna copy her.
Copy who? Angela or Mrs. Hart? Okay, let's see. Pay attention back there. On Monday morning, Miss Hart said, I hope everyone had a pleasant weekend. I did. I went to the opera. Miss Hart looked around the room. Does anyone have something to share? Ruby waved her hand. Glued to every finger was a plastic fingernail, a pink plastic fingernail. I went to the opera too, said Ruby. She did not, whispered Angela. Miss Hart folded her hands and looked very serious. Ruby, dear, said Miss Hart gently, did you do anything else this weekend? What do you think Ruby's going to say?
No, not very good.
Ruby peeled off a fingernail. I hopped, said Ruby. The class giggled. Ruby's ears turned red. But I did. I hopped around the picnic table 10 times. Ruby Ruby looked around the room. Watch. Ruby sprang from her desk. She hopped forward, she hopped backwards, she hopped sideways with both eyes shut. The class cheered and clapped their hands to the beat of Ruby's feet. Ruby was the best hopper they had ever seen. Miss Hart turned on the tape player and said, "Follow the leader, do the Ruby hop." So Ruby led the class around the room while everyone copied her. So now, is Ruby still a copycat in this lesson?
No.
What is she doing? She's being a what? Yes?
She's being herself.
She's being herself, and other students are doing what?
Being copycat.
Copying her. Okay. And at noon, Ruby and Angela hopped home for lunch. Why do you think they became friends towards the end of the story? Why do you think they became friends towards the end of the story?
Because Ruby was hopping around so high, they thought Ruby was the best hopper.
Very good, and everyone wanted to follow her, right? But why do you think the two girls went home to lunch together and they were friends now in the end?
Because they were happy ever after.
Okay, good. Yes, Ryan?
Because they would stop copying it. But now they want to copy Angela. Because they're friends now because she stopped copying her.
Yes, Angela said, okay, maybe now I can be her friend because she's not copying me anymore. And that was not bothering her anymore. Yes, Devin?
And because she had these pretty nails.
Oh, because she has those pretty nails, so maybe they like those nails because they were different, right? Good. Yes?
Maybe that's because they're friends because Angela stopped copying this computer.
Very good. Okay, yes.
It's not Angela.
Yes?
Because she stopped copying her and she wanted to be her friend now.
Very good. Okay, boys and girls, you did a great story. You did a great job with the story.